Up, down, left, right, BA, start. If you know what that gets you, go ahead and put it in the chat. That'd be great to see if anybody actually knows what that's for. Right now, up, down, left, right, BA, start. Now, if anybody knows what that gets you, go ahead and put it in the chat. I will be astonished. Obviously, it's a cheat code, and it looks like that's what Elko possesses at the moment. So, in the way that this man is recruiting at the moment, you can't help but wonder if he knows what the game is actually throwing at him, right? So, I'd like to highlight a couple of guys that I think are really going to make a big smash hit, hence the title. And that's Mark Matthews and this other guy, Kennedy Brown. Start this over. Up, down, left, right, BA, start. And if anybody knows what that actually gets you, put it in the chat. I will be astonished. Obviously, it's probably some type of cheat code, and it feels like that's what Elko has actually typed into the game console, because this man, he knows how to recruit. He's doing just an absolute phenomenal job, and I'm starting to see some ways. Well, starting's not really actually accurate. He's already doing this at the moment, and he's recruiting in ways that are not red flags, but they're just noticing that I'm seeing that are saying, hey, something really interesting is going on here. Something fantastic's going on over there. This happened back in 2002 with me as well. I started seeing a lot of social media posts saying, hey, A&M is top 3, top 5 with this recruit, top 6 with that recruit, final 2 with that recruit. Bryce Anderson was one of those guys. And I kept seeing more and more, and I was just like, something's happening here, and this class is shaping up like, and I just thought it would for sure be top 3, and then it ended up being number 1. Now, what happened after that is a complete boondoggle, but let's not focus on that right now. But there's a few things I'm seeing right now with this class. 2 guys in particular, these guys I'm dubbing right now as Super Smash Bros, that leads me to think this offensive line class is going to be one for the ages, okay? So let's highlight 2 of these guys to start off with. Mark Matthews, Kennedy Brown, okay? Matthews is a consensus 5-star recruit. He's the number 1 ranked offensive tackle in the nation. He's number 3 overall prospect in the class of 2027. He stands at about 6'5", maybe 6'6", and he weighs pretty rock solid 300 pounds. He's coming from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and he's a native from there, committed to Texas A&M, okay? So he did this on May 15th, 2026. His commitment stands as a monumental recruiting victory for Mike Elko, okay? So he had to have the cheat code when he did this, right? He goes into Florida. He gets this guy over who? Over Miami, over LSU, over Georgia. These are not small names. These are names that just beat A&M in a college football playoff game. And so this guy wants to come to the Aggies. Wow. So we're going to need to talk about that, right? That's one of those little things I'm kind of talking about. Why is that happening? What is he doing to get that? He holds an astonishing .9984 recruiting rating. Matthews ranks as the 3rd highest rated recruit in Texas A&M program history, behind Walter Nolan, which just, look, that shouldn't even be there, honestly. We need to strike that from the record, and future Hall of Famer Myles Garrett. Okay, man will be a future Hall of Famer for sure. So let's talk about what the scouts are saying on this guy, right? Scouts, or actually, let's jump into the scouting report first. All right, so he's a unique tackle prospect because he began playing as a defensive lineman. His background translates directly into his elite mobility that he possesses, which makes him so coveted, right? He lacks the standard, like, clunky mechanics you find in some of the younger guys, some of the undersized guys, or even in some of the oversized guys who don't move well. Instead, Matthews, he's got a very explosive natural base to him. Okay, so he can cover a lot of ground. He can cover very, very quick. As a commit, he's plays currently for the powerhouse of St. Thomas, right? St. Thomas Aquinas, and he's already anchored this team to back-to-back Florida State championships, and he's done this against elite talent. I mean, it's like Florida, Texas, California, right? So if you're going to play anywhere and do really well, especially in certain, like Texas has 5A, 6A, you want to be playing at the top of those groups. It says a little bit more. You definitely want to be playing in these states. Just gives I would say, a better overall sense of how accomplished you are playing against other elite talent, which is what he's been doing. Let's talk about what the scouts are actually saying about this guy. Okay, so in regards to pass protection, scouts say, and I quote, Matthews is the premier pass blocker of the 2027 cycle due to his elite kick slide. He rapidly gains depth off the line of scrimmage, extending the pass protection arc and cleaning matching speed rushers to neutralize the edge. Now, I really don't have a whole lot of understanding about what that means, but it sounds real good. I'm no scout, so I'll take their word for it. I mean, no, like on the lighter side, obviously he has a huge kick step, right? And it's really hard to get around him on the edges, which means he's very valuable either from a left tackle protecting the blind side or from the right side to prevent sacks. And that's what he does. That's what you want from a tackle, right? And so he's got that down. He's got that down pat. In balance and posture, here's what they say. He plays with an exceptionally straight back and he sinks his hip into pass sets. This prevents him from leaning forward or being easily disrupted by defensive bull rushers. In regards to his knee bending fluidity, he displays natural knee bending traits that allow him to redirect his weight laterally to absorb blitz packages, right? And so this is what they're saying, that he moves really, really well. He has a lot of get off, a lot of twitch to him, and for a big guy, he doesn't move around clunky. I imagine his footwork looks really, really good. I can't wait to actually see that. I'm surprised they didn't mention something about that, but usually for a big guy who's not clunky, when I watch them walk, that's what gives me the biggest kind of insight into how athletic they actually are. There's two things for me. I like to watch a guy run backwards, and then you just kind of see what their foot placement looks like. Both are very, very revealing, okay? From a run blocking demeanor, the scouts say like this: Matthews plays with a violent, punishing edge. He fires directly out of his stance and immediately initiates forceful first contact. That's the second thing that really stands out to me, right? In 2022, when we had that class, fantastic class, a lot of talent. I don't know that you had the character and the mean streaks that were there. When you have scouts saying that you're violent and you're punishing at the edge, this is the physicality that I'm looking for. And so it's just something I really want to emphasize. I don't want it to go unnoticed. It's a big deal for me. As far as his space mobility, when asked to pull or climb to the second level, they say he moves into space like a tight end. He is highly proficient at unlocking his hips on angle blocks, turning his head around, and hunting secondary linebackers. So he gets to the second level really well. He's going to be really good down the field, and he's got that motor on him. That's what I'm hearing from this. And his finishing mindset, a true mean streak. Oh my goodness. So you put that with the violent tendency, right? The punishing aspect that he's got to him, and you're going to throw in mean streak on this. That's probably why he's number one, right? Number one. So Matthews routinely drives opposing defenders directly into the turf, consistently blocking them through the whistle. And there's no other description of a lineman or player, in my opinion, that would go better with Elko. Okay? Those are the kinds of things I'm seeing that I think will yield, second year, third year results, right? You've got these issues right now with like people, especially right now, A lot of high-end recruits, a lot of money working around here. People think you're throwing bags at them. And so they're like, well, how are you going to continue to keep holding on to these guys that are getting paid $1 million, $2 million, maybe more, who are not actually going to come in and play in their first year? Is this guy going to play his first year? Probably not. And so that lends themselves to likely transferring. But you really need to keep these kinds of guys around. So how are you going to do that? Well, I think these are the kinds of guys you also see with these kinds of traits that will be hanging around, that will buy into Elko and the stuff that he's selling, which more on that in just a second, okay? As far as Matthews goes, he definitely still has some areas of development, the scouts say. You know, they'll put it out there for sure. They'll be like, yeah, basically he's flawless. However, scouts do note a few areas for refinement. Hand placement. It's not uncommon for hand placement to be something for these guys to work on when they come out of high school. Here's what they say: because his pure athleticism lets him dominate high school players, of course, that's what he does, he occasionally places his hands too wide, which can lead to holding penalties against technical SEC edge rushers. Sure, okay, makes a lot of sense. Hands would have been third on my list of like looking at athleticism, right? You know, I'd actually probably make you swing a bat, as a matter of fact, or throw a pitch to assess that even better. But hand placement, how you do those things, tells me how well do you get your hands where they need to be? Are they high? Are they low? Stuff like that. So, you know, just being a very general novice take on that. That's what the scouts say, though, and I think they're dead on. And when it comes to consistency and his technique, they say he can still rely strictly on his raw physical strength to win reps at the high school level, meaning continuous technical refinement under Aggie's line coach Adam Cushing will be vital. Now, could there be a better matchup also with Cushing at this point, with how he's developing guys who just put 4 in the draft essentially? Well, he didn't, not Crownover, but 3 drafted plus Crownover, undrafted free agent, got himself a contract. It looks like a really, really good match for this guy. Give him a year, maybe 2, and is likely dumped right into the rotation, maybe year 1, but for sure year 2, and starting year 3. I mean, almost assuredly, barring any kind of, you know, craziness taking place, right? But can we keep him around? That'll definitely be a talk for this the entire time. You know, his commitment for A&M. What does it mean? It means probably a major culture shift for Mike Elko. If he's going to win these highly contested national battles, like with Miami, you know, when it comes down to kind of the final hour with these guys, I think what you're going to get a lot of is people saying, well, NIL this, NIL that. Or they'll say, if they want to put it PC, they'll say A&M's got a very competitive NIL package. Okay, I'm sure that's true. They might also say the playoff culture has changed and we've got playoff hopes. And I think that's also accurate. The first one, I think, is where the criticism is unfounded about it being about money in a bag. The playoff culture, definitely, you bet, 100% on that, right? But when you pull premier talent out of any state in the country, especially going down to Florida, against somebody that just beat you in a college football playoff, that to me says you are developing guys, you're sending them to the NFL, and maybe more so is that you're investing in them personally. To me, that's what's making his success so apparent, in my opinion, at this point. So, anyways, we're going to be pairing this guy on the blind side with a 5-star tackle named Kennedy Brown. Kennedy Brown's going to be on the right side, probably Matthews on the left at this point. And the Aggies, at this point, we've locked down maybe the most dominant tackle duo. Some are saying ever. Some are saying that's what you know, you're getting from places like 247, On3, Sports Illustrated. We've gone through all the sources, looking through all these, reading up on it. That's what they're saying. Is that what I'm saying? Maybe. Let's talk about it. You have fun today? Yeah. You get rid of the bracelet? Yeah. You like it? Mom, show the picture. And guess what mine said after I took the picture? Did you frame it? Which was this is what he said after I lost the picture. Did you frame it? That's what he said. Oh dear. Oh dear. This is what mine said. Are you going to frame it? Oh, well, are you? No! Are you going to sleep with it under your pillow?
We were, so Simon was playing with Jackson Corner. So Michael and I was talking to Ashley and Michael came up, and we were all just kind of chatting about stuff. Anyway,
Say more.
stop. I was talking with Ashley about it, and she's like, I didn't know they were in the same group together. And Michael goes, Simon told me that he was in the same group as his crush. And I was like, she was like, oh.
You told Mr. Coiner that? You told Michael that?
You told her mom?
No, Michael told her mom.
Oh my gosh.
Harrison has a girlfriend.
Ooh.
And she was volunteering. And so she's like, we have to go find Harrison's girlfriend. I was like, what? She's like, she's so nice. I like her more than I like Harrison. She's like, she's taking Brooklyn out for high school. Like, she's really sweet.
Wait, honey. So now Brooklyn's mom knows about my crush on her?
It's possible. Michael Corner, he's got big lips.
Oh, there.
Look at this picture.
Oh yeah, and that one. Yes. Can you show her thing on? Oh my god. Oh my gosh, I do not know that. Who is that? That is not decorative. Anyway, can you pull it there?
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, I
So maybe I am making that kind of statement, but I'll hold that till the end. Let me talk about this Kennedy Brown guy for just a minute, because he makes up the brother in this Smash Brother situation. So he's a consensus 5-star prospect, universally ranked as the number 4 overall player in Texas and a top 15 recruit nationally for the class of 2027. Right? So, he might be technically listed as 4-star, but he's definitely composite 5. He stands about 6'4". He's about 290 pounds. He's a Humble Kingwood School standout, and he officially committed to Texas A&M on April 26th. All right, so picking up Brown's pledge, major early recruiting catalyst for Mike Elko. When you beat out Texas, when there's other powerhouses included like Alabama, Florida, LSU, Tennessee, again, it just says this little something extra, right? I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, we're beating out some of these schools that we maybe traditionally take one here, one there from, not necessarily so consistent, but when you're beating out all of them pretty consistently, and again, this is the fifth 5-star in this class, then there's something extra happening, right? There's something extra happening when that's going on, in my opinion. And so the comparisons that this ends up making are quite astonishing in my opinion. So the scouting report right off the bat says he's freakish, outsized length profile for this guy. He's slightly shorter than your prototypical like NFL guy. He's not quite 6'6". He doesn't quite have that size that you might think, but his other metrics are elite. They're just full on elite. He possesses 7'7", 91-inch wingspan. He's got like massive 11-inch hands. And right now he's packed onto a 185-pound frame, which doesn't shout like huge. I mean, a lot of these NFL guys are already like, 325, 330, and that's probably what we're looking for. But the fact that he's so long and it makes such a wide perimeter, he's routinely going to create, like a functional radius that matches or exceeds much taller linemen, and then forces him to keep defenders on the outside, right? And they can't get into his chest that easily. He's gonna make first contact every time. He's got the longest arms. Think about like a boxer who's got the longer reach. It will be him every single time. It'll be him every single time. So some intangibles that you just can't coach out of this guy, which is gonna really, really translate well. Brown, what the scouts are saying, on position versatility, the roster flexibility are going to be icing on the cake. So listen to what the scouts say. Scouts on the possibility of a guard or tackle swing, they say having extensive high school experience, starting at both right tackle and left tackle, his elite length gives him the trait profile to remain outside in college. However, his squatty, low body build also makes him an extremely dangerous projection inside at guard or center. And so if he can go either one, then obviously he's got some value being a rotational guy that can anchor with plug and play. So under Aggie's offensive line coach, the scouts say, his potential for flexibility turns Brown into an invaluable plug and play cornerstone on the future depth chart for Adam Cushing. So does this extend our depth where you might think in a given year you only have, like, say, 7 guys that you're comfortable with, whereas you might have a 7.5 situation because, well, you've got one guy who can go into tackle, you've got this one guy who can go into guard, but can they go into center, tackle, or guard? And Brown's going to give you that type of possibility. So he's going to solidify, whereas you might say you only have 7 guys you trust. He's almost like an 8th or a 9th guy because he can play here, he can play there. He's going to run into each one of these, well, because he can go guard, he can go tackle, either one, right? More than that, listen again what scouts say. Say he's a multi-sport guy. He's got a 50-foot shot, so they feel like he's got some prowess there. Now, I'll tell you, 50-foot shot in high school, as a junior is all right. It's not huge, but obviously he's got some torque and some explosion from the lower body that you definitely want, and you're glad to hear that. I don't get it confused. The state record for shot is like 81, I think. I mean, set like a long time ago by like Michael Carter or something crazy. So 50 foot is nothing like crazy, but it's good, right? It's something you're glad that he's got with him that a lot of others won't have with him. So he's got heavy hands, they say. He strikes with rare pop. He's completely stunning defensive ends at the point of attack with a violent initial punch. For second level hunting, he climbs effortlessly to the second level. On the field, he plays with a definitive old school mean streak, openly preaching a philosophy of blocking through the whistle to physically wear down his opponents. So when you pair that with Matthews, and you've got a tandem that is going to pay a lot of dividends, right? A lot of dividends. And it's making me start to think about something that I'm going to drop here in just a second, okay? So bear with me for just a minute. Now, I'm going to share with you areas of development that scouts say he's got. Scouting profile is going. So don't want to leave you thinking that this guy's completely polished. He's not. And more than that, he's definitely got some size, not issues, but some size situations where you definitely want him to get in with Tommy Moffitt, grow, probably get to like the 310-pound range. And they say as much, right? So he's probably going to need to, redshirt from a physical standpoint. He carries his current weight incredibly well, they say. His frame has the capacity to grow rapidly, but they want to see him up around the 310 range, right? Maybe even plus. But if you're a tackle, that's a good size. Guard, you want a little bit more. He'll need a full cycle in the SEC strength and conditioning program, and we got, I think, the best one at this point, right? Tommy Moffitt's holding it down. From a pass protection consistency situation, after transitioning from right tackle to left tackle during his junior year, film showed occasional footwork lapses and oversetting against inside counter moves. I really don't have any idea what that means, but it's something he's got to work on. Again, neither one of these guys are completely perfect. None are, but they're extremely well polished. Let's put it that way. So you feel really, really good about either one of these guys coming in. So why do I mention all this, right? Here's why I mention all this, because I started to put a couple things together that started making me think, well, okay, Matthews is rated like 98. Brown somewhere, I think he's either 95 or 96 by 247. And I'm thinking, is this the best two that we've ever had? Possibly. And then I looked around and read where others were saying this might be the best two that have ever been had. And I was like, wow, really? So it made me start thinking about what I thought was our best offensive line we've ever fielded. And I feel real confident. And Mark Passwater's actually agreed with me on Twitter about this, that the 2012 class that we fielded, which was made up of Jokel, Matthews, Abway, Jarvis Harrison, Patrick Lewis in the center. Most of those guys came in the 2010 class. Patrick Lewis came in the 2009 class. Yeah, one class earlier. And that was probably the best five we've ever put on the field. And I think I would agree with that. Patrick Lewis was drafted. Obviously, Jokel was. I think Matthews went a year later because they had him hang around one more year. Jarvis Harrison, great guard. Abway, great guard as well. And so I'm starting to compare the two groups. Now, from a production standpoint, I can't say that right now. These guys aren't playing for A&M. We'll have to let that see where that goes in 2 to 3 years and see how things work out. But as it stands at the moment, the 2027 class, you also have Demarion Johnson and Caden McCarthy, both, I'm sorry, not Caden McCarthy, Caden Scott, both graded 93s at this point. So really 93, 93, 96, 94. Let me check Brown's real quick, what his official rating was. 94, and then you've got Matthews at 98. The average rating for that is 94.5. And I went ahead and went back and did it for that 2010 class, and it comes out to 94.75. So 25 hundredths better. The interesting part of that was that Jarvis Harrison's not even ranked in that, and he ended up playing a part in that particular offensive line. The other one that made up the top four in 2010 class was, I think it was Shep Klink. Um, I'll go back and double check that while we're working, but I don't know that he even I don't know that he even played it down back then. Maybe got in on some intermittent work here and there, but it really wasn't much going on. So let me look back and check. That is, I find, yeah, Shep Klink, rated 92, not part of that group in 2012. So if that was the best group that we've ever fielded, what is it going to look like for this group to come up, right? There's a few others that are in there, like I mentioned, and so this group has the potential at this moment. It's hard to project in 2 to 3 years, but at this moment, to be production wise very similar to that 2012 class. So I'm hoping good things are on the come. Definitely Elko's doing what it takes now to get those results later, and I'm super excited to see what the Super Smash Brothers can do. So, hey, thanks for joining me. That was a lot of fun to talk about, looking at these two guys. If that's good for you, like and subscribe. Come on back. I got some more. We got fall camp coming up real soon, so we're going to be covering a lot. See y'all soon.